Brown versus Board of Education was a landmark Supreme Court case that established separate but equal was not equal at all. Separate but equal had been established in 1896 in Plessy versus Ferguson, and it meant that the segregation of public facilities was legal as long as it was equal. The separation was seen in many places such as schools, buses, water fountains, and other public facilities. This lasted for 60 years until the 1950s when the NAACP worked to challenge segregation and began filing lawsuits. This time became known as the Civil Rights Movement, and this movement fought for equal rights for African Americans. Activists include Rosa Parks, Malcolm X, and Martin Luther King. Malcolm X thought that living separately from the whites or returning to Africa was the way to go, and he criticized Martin Luther King for not promoting violence. Martin Luther King promoted nonviolent protesting, which is why they were different. Linda Brown's father, Oliver Brown, sued the Board of Education from Topeka, Kansas.
The Jim Crow laws legalized racial segregation. They existed for about 100 years from after the Civil War in 1865 to 1968. Public parks were forbidden for African Americans to enter, and theaters and restaurants were also segregated. Segregated waiting rooms and professional offices were required, as well as water fountains, restrooms, building entrances, elevators, cemeteries, and even amusement park windows. Facilities were separated by signs that said white or colored, and black communities and individuals that tried to go against the Jim Crow laws were often met with violence and death.
Oliver Brown was the plaintiff who filed a class action suit against the Board of Education in Topeka, Kansas. Class action lawsuit because one person is standing up for a group of people facing the same problem. Brown filed his this because his daughter, Linda Brown, had been denied from an all-white elementary school in Topeka. Wanted to go to a white school because Brown claimed that schools for black children were not equal to white schools. 14th Amendment was violated because segregation violated the Equal Protection Clause, which is that no state can deny to any person with its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. The district court in Kansas said that school segregation was bad in that you could see it had a detrimental effect upon the colored children, but it was equal. Thurgood Marshall was the chief attorney of the plaintiffs, and he was later appointed as the first black Supreme Court justice by Lyndon B. Johnson. Justices were not sure how to rule. The Chief Justice Fred M. said the ruling in Plessy should stand, but he died before the case was heard, and Eisenhower appointed Earl Warren. Warren was a very liberal justice. With the skills, he was able to get unanimous votes saying segregation is not equal in schools.
Although segregation was ruled unequal, schools still tried to keep black students from entering their school. Little Rock 9 took place in Arkansas, and it was when 9 black students were not allowed to enter a school, and the governor of Arkansas had called the state National Guard to prevent them from entering. However, Eisenhower deployed federal troops to allow them to enter with armed guards. This case isn't the only reason for school desegregation because civil rights movements helped this a lot as well. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 also helped enforce desegregation.
The ruling of Brown versus Board of Education opened up many opportunities for many African Americans to thrive. Today is the 57th anniversary after the ruling of Brown versus Board of Education.
The significance of this court case is that race-based segregation of children into separate but equal public schools violates the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment and it is unconstitutional.
It overturned the separate but equal case, which was Plessy versus Ferguson. This case made it possible for all of us to be in the same school, and it created togetherness.
Hello, administration. I would like to enroll my daughter, Linda Brown, into your school.
I'm so sorry, Mr. Brown. We can't enroll your black daughter in this white school.
This is outrageous.
Dad, you know this is a white school. Why would you enroll me here?
Because, sweetie, the government says that it is separate but equal, but it's not. The white kids get far better education and get better resources. I want you to have the best education that you can get.
Oh, I get it now.
We have to do something about this. I know exactly what to do. I will file a class action lawsuit because I am one person filing an order for the Black community. Hello, Thurgood Marshall.
Nice to meet you, Mr. Brown.
I'm here to fight against the case because it is violating me and my daughter's rights.
Oh, tell me the facts about this case. Also, which school is this happening at?
This is happening at Topeka Elementary School.
So what's your intent behind this, Mr. Brown?
I want all the Black African American children to have equal opportunities because this separate but equal is not actually equal, and it is putting the Black children at a disadvantage.
Wow, you must be a very brave man, Mr. Brown.
Indeed, I am.
Well, I think we're going to certainly win this case.
Great, see you at court.
Yes.
Order in the court! We have two different sides. We have the side with Linda and Oliver Brown, and we have the Topeka, Kansas Elementary School. Oliver Brown, please state your case.
My daughter is denied education at the Topeka, Kansas Elementary School, and separate but equal is hurting my daughter's educational opportunities because the schools do not have sufficient funds for the teachers and supplies.
Okay, I see. Now, Topeka, Kansas Elementary School, please state your case.
According to Pelsley v. Ferguson, separate but equal must stand no matter what, especially since the Supreme Court ruled it's legal.
Okay, recess time.
A few moments later.
Okay, we have made the final ruling. Racial segregation of children in public schools is unconstitutional, so you are not allowed to not admit Linda Brown to the school. So therefore, Oliver Brown wins the case.
Great! Now my daughter in the African American community will have all the same amount of education as the white people. Because it is by Marshall.
Nice to meet you.
Hello, Thurgood Marshall.
Nice to meet you.
Hello, Thurgood Marshall.
Nice to meet you, Mr. Brown.
Hello, Thurgood Marshall.
Nice to meet you, Mr. Brown.
Just flip it.
Oh, you can do that?
Yeah, okay. Oh, it's recording.
Oh, it is? Oh.